Welcome to the Bovine Podcast, where we bring you cutting-edge insights for progressive dairy producers. Today, we're diving into a game-changing approach to calf nutrition that could add $500 per heifer to your bottom line. Are you discarding liquid gold after that first colostrum feeding? Groundbreaking research from Dr. Michael Steele at the University of Guelph is challenging conventional wisdom about how we feed our calves. In the next 20 minutes, you'll discover why transition milk holds untapped value, how extended colostrum feeding dramatically reduces treatment costs, and why leading operations are seeing substantial returns on this simple protocol change. Whether you're managing 50 calves or 5,000, this episode provides practical, science-backed strategies you can implement immediately. So grab your notebook. You won't want to miss these profit-enhancing insights from the Bovine.
Hey, you know that feeling when you realize you've been overlooking something? Something super obvious? Maybe something that could be adding real cash to your bottom line.
Yeah, happens to the best of us.
Well, get ready for maybe one of those moments today. We're plunging into what some are calling liquid gold. That's right, colostrum.
Good old colostrum.
But we're not just talking about that first feeding everyone knows about. Nope. We're looking at how extending its use, how that could potentially boost your profit by, well, maybe as much as $500 per heifer.
That's a number that gets your attention, right?
Definitely. So think about your current calf feeding routine for just a second. Could you be unintentionally letting a valuable resource and, frankly, serious money just slip away?
It's a fair question. And that's exactly what we're here to explore today.
We're doing a deep dive.
Exactly. And look, this isn't some trendy new additive or, flash in the pan idea. We've really dug deep into some groundbreaking research.
The kind of stuff coming out of places like Guelph.
Precisely. Work by experts like Dr. Michael Steele there. It really makes you rethink those long-held beliefs about feeding newborn calves.
So what's the mission today?
Simple, really. Our mission in this deep dive is crystal clear. Unpack the science, uncover the potential, which seems surprisingly large, of feeding colostrum for longer than just that first day or so.
Moving beyond just immunity.
Way beyond just that initial passive immunity shot. We're getting into its much broader impact on the lifetime performance of your dairy heifers.
Okay, so let's dive right in. This paradigm shift the researchers are talking about. For ages, it felt like the whole focus with colostrum was just laser focused on antibodies, right?
Absolutely. Get a couple of quarts in them, ASAP, make sure the IgG is high.
And then pretty much straight to milk or replacer. Done.
Exactly. But the thinking on this is really evolving. It's not just about those initial antibodies anymore for your operation.
So the benefits go further.
Precisely. The scientific community is increasingly recognizing that the advantages, they stretch far beyond just passive immunity. We're talking about a whole cascade of benefits.
Like what specifically?
Things influencing how their gut develops, their overall growth trajectory, and ultimately how productive they'll be for you down the road in the milking parlor.
So that traditional short duration approach, it might be missing something.
Looks like it. While it's absolutely vital for getting those first antibodies in, nobody's arguing that it seems like it might actually be causing us to miss out on a really significant opportunity, an opportunity to positively shape that calf's future.
And Dr. Steele's analogy, the one about the ball rolling down a hill, that kind of sticks with you.
It really does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He basically says the nutrition and care in those very early weeks, they set the entire course for that animal's productive life with you.
It's not just about survival for the first few days.
Not at all. It's about setting them up for long-term success in your milking string. It's like building the foundation for a skyscraper, Yeah.
A strong foundation means a stronger building.
Exactly. If that foundation is solid, well-nourished, the whole structure is stronger, more resilient for years. And it turns out a cornerstone of that foundation is what we're feeding them right at the start, specifically those unique components in colostrum.
Okay, so beyond the famous antibodies, what is in colostrum that makes it so darn special for your calves? What's the actual science saying about why extended feeding could be so good?
Well, you stack up colostrum against regular milk, and nutritionally, dramatically different. It's just loaded with a really unique cocktail of peptides, carbohydrates, fatty acids things you just don't see in those high concentrations later on.
But it's more than just basic nutrition.
Oh, much deeper. Colostrum is like this super cocktail of immune system boosters. Think cytokines, communication molecules for the immune system, various hormones that help development, and a really impressive lineup of vitamins and minerals.
Bioactive compounds, they call them.
That's the term, yeah. These bioactive compounds play a crucial role, establishing a healthy gut environment for your calves, helping build a strong intestinal lining, essentially programming their systems for efficient growth and function.
So it's not just calories, it's signaling molecules too.
Spot on. It's all these signaling molecules and developmental factors doing their magic.
Which brings us neatly to transition milk. That stuff we often, well, maybe don't appreciate enough.
Definitely underappreciated.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to think of it as just milk, the stuff after the real colostrum. But the data, it tells a very different story for you.
How different are we talking?
The data on how milk composition changes across those first 4 milkings, it's really eye-opening. Looking at the research, you see that big drop in IgG, right? First milking is packed maybe 94 grams per liter, give or take.
Yeah, that's the gold standard.
But here's the real kicker for you.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the second milking, the IgG level is still remarkably high. It's hanging in there at about 39 grams per liter.
39, that's still way higher than regular milk, isn't it? Significantly higher. You're talking about a concentration of crucial antibodies that's still very potent.
Makes you think about Dr. Back's quote, doesn't it? Calling discarding transition milk a downright waste.
It really hits home when you see numbers like that. Nearly 40 grams per liter of protective immunoglobulins your calves need, and we often just dump it.
Feels almost wrong.
It really does. And it's not just the IgG either. Look at the other stuff in the research, total solids, protein content. Even by the 4th milking, these are still elevated compared to mature milk.
So you're throwing away nutrients.
Essentially, yeah. A nutrient-dense liquid that could be giving significant ongoing benefits to your calves. For growth, for development.
Okay, so what happens when you do put this into practice on your farm? What does the research actually show about the impact of extending that colostrum feeding period for you?
Well, the work Dr. Steele and his team did up at Guelph has been really pivotal, really showing the way forward. They looked at a couple of main approaches.
How were they? One was giving calves 50% colostrum for the first 2 days. The other was including 10% colostrum in their diet, but for a full 14 days.
And the results, were they good?
The results they saw were pretty consistent and really encouraging for producers. They saw a clear reduction in both diarrhea cases.
Scours, yeah. Big problem.
Big problem. And also lower overall mortality rates in the groups getting the extended colostrum. Plus, these calves showed improved growth rates at certain key points in their development.
And it wasn't just about survival and growth, was it? I think I read something about gut health, too.
Exactly. The research indicated that extending colostrum feeding helped reduce gut permeability. Think of it like making the intestinal lining stronger, less leaky.
Which is good for preventing nasty stuff getting into the bloodstream.
Precisely. They also saw positive effects on how their bodies handled insulin, which could have long-term implications for nutrient use efficiency throughout their lives for you.
And this isn't just one study saying this.
No. Other research backs this up too. For instance, one study used a 50-50 mix of whole milk and colostrum for a couple of days, showed better intestinal development, higher overall IgG levels in the blood, lower mortality risk.
Okay.
Another one used a 90-10 mix of milk and a colostrum replacer for 2 weeks. Also reported higher body weights, better average daily gain, ADG, and fewer deaths. The evidence really seems to be stacking up for you.
All right, let's pause for a sec. Make sure everyone listening is tracking with some key terms we keep throwing around. IgG, we've mentioned it a lot. Quick refresher on what it is and why it's so vital for your calves.
Certainly. IgG, short for immunoglobulin G, it's a main antibody type, super concentrated in colostrum. Think of it as the first line of defense for your newborns, provides that crucial initial or passive immunity.
How does it work?
When a calf gets enough good quality colostrum, these IgG antibodies get absorbed right into their bloodstream. Offers protection against a whole bunch of nasty pathogens.
And there's a target level, right?
Yeah, you generally want to aim for a blood serum IgG concentration over 10 grams per liter. Calves hitting that mark, successful passive transfer, we call it, they're significantly less likely to get sick, much better shot at survival for you.
Got it. And then transition milk, we touched on it, but just to be crystal clear.
Right. Transition milk is simply the milk your cows produce in the milkings right after that first super concentrated colostrum, usually milkings 2 through, say, 8.
And the key takeaway?
As we saw in the research, it still packs a punch. Higher levels of beneficial stuff, immunoglobulins, other valuable nutrients compared to mature milk. Makes it a really useful resource for your young calves. Don't waste it.
Okay. And these bioactive compounds, what are they actually doing for your calves?
Bioactive compounds. They're essentially non-nutritive components in colostrum that have specific biological effects. Things like growth factors helping the gut develop properly, antimicrobial peptides fighting off bad bacteria, oligosaccharides acting like prebiotics, feeding the good gut bugs.
So more than just energy and protein.
Way more. Yeah. They actively contribute to your calves' health and development in some really fundamental ways.
Right. And one last one, FPCM. Sounds a bit technical. Why should you care about that?
FPCM stands for fat and protein corrected milk. It's basically a standardized way to measure milk production. It accounts for differences in fat and protein content.
Why standardize?
It allows for a fairer comparison of milk yields between different cows, or in this case, between different feeding programs that might affect milk composition later on for you, levels the playing field when looking at production data.
Now, this is fascinating. Colostrum isn't just about preventing illness in your calves. It can actually be a tool to help them recover when they do get sick.
Absolutely. That University of Guelph research really highlights this potential benefit for you. They look at calves with diarrhea scours, compared a control group to calves getting a 50-50 mix of milk replacer and colostrum replacer.
For how long?
Either 2 days or a longer period of 4 days. And the results? Pretty striking.
What did they find?
The calves getting the extended colostrum therapy, the 4-day treatment, they actually recovered from diarrhea faster than the other groups. And here's the really important part for your bottom line.
Go on.
They also showed higher average daily weight gain during that recovery period.
That's huge. Because usually sickness means a growth slump, right?
Yeah.
Which can mess things up long term for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A setback like that can have knock-on effects. But it sounds like that extended colostrum helped keep them on track, growth-wise.
So Dr. Seale's point holds up.
Totally. As he pointed out, it's not just about clearing the illness. It's about maintaining that crucial growth trajectory, even through health challenges. And this wasn't just a small finding either.
Other studies confirmed it.
Yeah, a larger study with 144 heifers found significantly lower diarrhea rates in calves getting extra colostrum. And another one giving 700 grams of colostrum and 5 kilos of milk daily for 14 days showed a whole host of benefits for you. Greater weaning weight, higher final body weight, better feed efficiency, superior ADG overall, and fewer days dealing with common issues: fever, poor appearance, diarrhea, pneumonia. It really underscores colostrum's power for supporting overall calf health.
Okay, now, I know some folks listening might be thinking, interesting, but changing my program. There are always those common beliefs, those hurdles.
Oh, definitely. There are some ingrained ideas that might be holding producers back from trying this on their own farms. Let's tackle them.
What's misconception number one? The big one.
Probably cost. The thought that feeding extra colostrum is just going to be too expensive for you.
And the counter argument.
The reality, based on Cornell research, is that for every single dollar you invest in improving calf nutrition, you can actually see about a $4 return down the line.
$4 back for every $1 spent.
Yep. In terms of increased lifetime milk production, lower health costs. And remember that underutilized transition milk, extra first milking colostrum, that's already a resource you have on hand. You've produced it. It's just about using it smarter for better returns.
Makes sense. What's another common concern you hear? Time, labor.
That's the second big one, yeah. Feeling like a more complex feeding protocol will add a ton of extra work to already packed days. Producers are stretched thin. Adding more steps seems daunting.
But is it really that much extra work?
Farms that have actually done it report it only adds about, say, 5 to 10 minutes of extra daily labor preparing the supplemental feeds.
Okay, 5-10 minutes.
Now weigh that against the time you spend treating sick calves. That can easily be 30 minutes or more per day, right? Plus the medication costs. That small upfront time investment starts looking much more manageable and probably more cost-effective for you long-term.
Absolutely. Prevention versus cure. What about seeing actual results? Is it measurable? Does it hit the bottom line?
The data from numerous university studies shows really clear, quantifiable improvements you can expect.
Give me some numbers.
Okay. Things like a $15 to $25 reduction in treatment costs per calf, a 5 to 7% improvement in calf survival rates, fewer deaths, an 80 to 150 gram per day increase in average daily gain.
ADG is key.
It really is. And maybe most significantly long-term, an increase of 500 to 1,000 pounds of milk in that crucial first lactation.
Wow. Those aren't small changes. Those are substantial returns that can really move the needle on profitability for you.
Exactly.
And the last big hurdle I often hear, storage. Storing all that extra colostrum seems like a logistical challenge for some farms.
It's a valid point for you. But again, look at the economics. Even smaller operations can often justify putting in dedicated freezer space.
How much are we talking?
A standard chest freezer, maybe a modest upfront cost, can typically hold enough colostrum for 30, maybe 40 calves. That's a one-time investment delivering ongoing returns with every calf you raise. Plus, there are other practical methods, refrigeration, short-term, commercial preservatives. We can get into those.
Okay, good. Now let's switch gears slightly. Weaning. It sounds like when you take calves off liquid feed is also a really critical decision tied into this whole early nutrition discussion.
It absolutely is for you. Dr. Steele makes a really compelling point. He emphasizes the number one thing to remember is that weaning later is generally better.
That kind of goes against the grain sometimes, doesn't it? Trying to wean early to save on feed costs.
It can, yeah. That traditional mindset.
I know lots of farms aim for 6 weeks, almost religiously. But Dr. Steele's training wheels analogy, that really paints a picture of why that might be too soon for many of your calves.
It's a great analogy for you, isn't it? He likens weaning a calf at 6 weeks, especially if their starter intake isn't solid yet, to taking training wheels off a bike before the kid can really pedal and balance alone.
So physiologically, they might not be ready.
Often, yeah. Economically speaking, CAGs under 8 weeks often aren't ready for complete weaning, especially if they've been on higher nutrition plans with extended colostrum. Their digestive systems are still maturing. Starter intake can be inconsistent. Push them too early, you risk growth slumps.
And those slumps can have lasting negative impacts on performance down the line for you.
Exactly.
So instead of just picking an age, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, what should you be looking at to decide when to wean your calves?
Progressive producers get this. The decision should be based on consistent, adequate starter intake by each individual calf, not just a date on the calendar for you.
So watch the calf, not the clock.
Pretty much. The goal is ensuring each calf eats enough solid feed to keep growing once the liquid feed stops. Let them develop more fully before weaning. You're setting them up for better, more consistent growth, better long-term productivity.
Leading to heifers calving at that target age, 22, 24 months, ready to hit their potential.
That's the aim. And those long-term milk yield gains, they likely far outweigh any perceived short-term savings from weaning too early.
Okay, so if you're listening and thinking, right, the benefits seem clear, I want to do this for my operation, what are the practical ways? How can you actually make extended colostrum feeding happen on your farm? What are the options?
There are really 3 main practical approaches you can consider. First, as we've discussed, just make better use of that valuable transition milk, milkings 2 through 8 roughly, instead of dumping it.
Use what you already have.
Exactly. Second option, actively supplement their regular feed milk replacer or whole milk with actual first milking colostrum. Boost the concentration of those beneficial compounds for longer.
And the third?
Third approach is using a commercial colostrum replacer. Incorporate that into their liquid diet. This can be really handy if you don't have enough good maternal colostrum, or maybe if you have disease transmission concerns in your herd.
And these are all realistic, implementable on your farm with the right setup.
Absolutely. The key for you is setting up a straightforward system. Collection, proper storage, consistent feeding.
And preserving it. You mentioned temperature and preservatives.
Yeah. Low temperatures, refrigeration, and freezing are crucial. And certain preservatives, like potassium sorbate, can also be effective tools to maintain quality for extended feeding on your farm.
Okay, let's get into the real nitty-gritty now for our listeners. What about the real-world challenges you might hit trying to implement this? And more importantly, what are the research-backed practical solutions you can use? Let's start with collecting and storing all that extra colostrum. Logistics.
Yeah, valid concern for you. Nobody wants extra hassle. The University of Minnesota Extension suggests a simple but effective color-coded labeling system. Makes identifying milk from different milkings quick and easy.
Smart. What about storage duration?
Refrigeration's good short-term, maybe up to a week. For longer storage, freezing is excellent. Use convenient 1 or 2 quart containers. It can preserve colostrum for up to a year if you do it right.
And if you need longer refrigerated life?
There are commercial colostrum preservatives available, often contain potassium sorbate. They can keep it usable for up to maybe 2 weeks under refrigeration. Gives you more flexibility.
That color coding sounds brilliant for keeping things straight for you. Okay, what about the extra labor, the actual feeding process with these extended protocols?
Penn State research looks specifically at this for you. They suggest batch preparation can really streamline things.
Batch prep. How does that work?
Well, say your goal is 10% colostrum inclusion. You could mix 1 part colostrum with 9 parts milk replacer in a dedicated container each morning. Then use that pre-mixed solution for all the feedings that day for your calves.
And the time commitment.
Their findings indicated this kind of batch prep only adds about 5 to 10 minutes extra time daily, which, like we said, is probably way less time than you're spending treating sick calves right now.
Good point. Okay, final big challenge. Disease transmission risk, especially if you're pooling colostrum. Big concern for many producers. What practical steps can you take to manage those biosecurity risks effectively?
Biosecurity is absolutely paramount for you. No question. If you're considering pooled colostrum, especially if certain diseases are a worry in your herd, heat treatment is a very effective tool.
Pasteurization.
Exactly. Pasteurizing pooled colostrum at 60 degrees Celsius, that's 140 Fahrenheit, for 60 minutes. It's been shown scientifically to significantly knock down many common calf pathogens. Importantly, it does this while still preserving most of the vital IgG antibodies.
And if pasteurization isn't an option, or you want more certainty?
For higher risk herds, or just for extra peace of mind, using high-quality commercial colostrum replacers is a very viable alternative for you. They completely eliminate the risk of transmitting diseases that might be lurking in maternal colostrum.
So before you even think about pooling colostrum on your farm, it sounds like job number 1 is a really honest look at your herd's current disease status.
Crucial first step for you. Absolutely.
What specific bugs should you be particularly mindful of when considering pooling?
If you're pooling, you need to be especially aware of potentially transmitting things like John's disease, Mycoplasma salmonella, among others. They can all be present in colostrum from infected cows. Could unfortunately pass to your calves if you're not careful.
So the mitigation strategies, again, are?
Proper pasteurization is key. Many forward-thinking dairies have invested in on-farm pasteurizers for exactly this reason. And again, for those who want zero risk from pooled maternal colostrum, high-quality commercial replacers are a reliable, disease-free alternative for your calves.
It's just so important for you to remember this pre-weaning period. It's not just maintenance, right? Not just keeping calves alive until they eat solid feed. It's truly a critical window for setting up their entire productive life in your herd.
Absolutely. For too long, the focus has often been minimizing cost in this early stage. But the science now clearly shows you. Higher planes of nutrition in those first 8 weeks. It has a direct, significant positive correlation with enhanced milk production later on, first lactation and beyond.
Dr. Steele's quote about missing out.
Yeah, he put it bluntly. If you are not feeding high levels of milk in the first 4 weeks of life, you are definitely missing out on significant growth potential in your calves. Research consistently shows you higher ADG early on has a lasting beneficial impact on future milk yields, overall productivity.
And we're not just talking tiny gains here for you, are we? That True Nutrition Life Start Program research really highlighted some potentially significant improvements in future milk checks.
That study is a fantastic real-world example for you. Shows the profound long-term impact early nutrition can have. They compared groups. One got higher nutrition, 8 liters of milk daily. Control got the conventional 4 liters.
And the difference?
Calves in the Life Start group had significantly higher ADG pre-weaning. And when they followed those heifers into first lactation, the Life Start group produced nearly 1 kilo more fat and protein-corrected milk per day, plus higher fat production.
Wow, did it last?
Interestingly, yes, benefits extended into the second lactation too. Those animals still showed higher fat-corrected milk production and significantly higher actual fat yields. These are real competitive advantages for you. They add up across your whole herd.
Seeing research results is one thing, but hearing about it working on actual commercial farms, that always hits different. That Riverview dairy case study from Minnesota seems like a really compelling example for you.
Ed Malenka's experience there. It's a fantastic illustration of the practical benefits you can achieve. He admitted he was initially skeptical, felt they already had a pretty good calf program.
But they tried it anyway.
They implemented a 14-day colostrum supplementation protocol back in 2022. And the results?
Yeah.
Undeniable for them.
What changed?
Dramatic decrease in scour treatment rates, significant increase in calf ADG, substantial drop in treatment cost per calf, and a noticeable reduction in labor needed for sick calves.
What impressed him most?
He was really struck by how quickly they recouped their investment in a dedicated freezer for colostrum. Said it paid for itself within the first month, just from savings on treatment costs.
Incredible ROI.
Yeah. They've even expanded their protocol now. Use colostrum therapy proactively for calves showing early scour signs. Allow them to significantly cut their overall antibiotic use too.
That's a massive win on so many levels for you. Healthier calves, lower med costs, less time on sick animals, more sustainable with fewer antibiotics.
Okay, so for producers listening right now thinking, all right, sounds promising, but where do I even start? What's your top 5-step action plan?
Okay, start with foundations, then build. 1. Maximize that first colostrum feeding impact. Absolutely ensure every calf gets 10-15% of its body weight in high-quality colostrum within those critical first 12 hours. Non-negotiable first step for immunity.
Step 2.
2. Actively implement extended colostrum feeding. Choose your protocol. 50% colostrum for days 2-3, or our 10% inclusion for 14 days. Guelph research backs both for reducing sickness, boosting growth.
3. Consider proactive colostrum therapy. That 50-50 milk colostrum mix for 4 days, 8 feedings for any calves showing digestive upset. Helps them bounce back faster, minimizes growth setbacks.
4th step.
4. Individualize weaning. Don't just use the calendar. Monitor starter intake. Only wean when they're consistently eating enough solid feed to maintain growth. Let the calf guide you, not the date.
And finally, step 5.
5. Get your preservation system solid. Reliable way to handle your valuable colostrum. Refrigeration short-term, freezing long-term, or approved preservatives. Maintain that quality for extended feeding. Remember what Dr. Heinrichs from Penn State said?
Remind me.
The most expensive feed you'll ever give a calf is the feed you don't give them in those critical first 2 months of life.
It's hard, right?
It's a really clear, actionable plan.
Definitely.
Okay, for those eager beavers ready to start right now, what are 3 immediate, concrete steps they can take today? All right, 3 things you can do right now to move in this more profitable direction for your operation. First, this morning, order your storage supplies. If you need a freezer, get it ordered. Get freezer bags or containers, markers, labels, maybe $600, $800 initial investment for a decent freezer.
Okay, supplies first.
Second, starting tomorrow, make it standard practice to collect and carefully store transition milk, at least the first 8 milkings post-calving. Label each batch clearly milking number and refrigerate it. Don't dump it. Start capturing that value immediately from a resource you already produce.
Makes sense. And third,
this week, prioritize scheduling a dedicated meeting. Get your key advisors together, vet, nutritionist, calf manager, whoever's involved. Specifically, discuss and start customizing an extended colostrum protocol that fits your dairy's unique situation.
And to help folks visualize rolling this out, what's a realistic implementation timeline look like? Phased approach?
Yeah, a phased approach makes sense for your farm. Week 1, focus on setting up that robust collection and storage system. Protocols for ID, testing, storage.
Yeah.
Nail those down.
Weeks 2 and 3.
Begin phase 1 implementation. Good starting point for many is supplemental colostrum for days 2 and 3 post-birth. Often easier than jumping straight to 14 days.
Weeks 4 to 6.
Add in proactive colostrum therapy. Train your team to spot early signs of digestive issues and implement the treatment protocol correctly.
Then weeks 7 to 12.
Gradually expand to the full 14-day extended feeding protocol for all newborns. Give your team time to adjust.
And ongoing after week 12.
Critically important, regularly analyze results. Review calf health records meticulously. Track growth data. Evaluate financial metrics. Use that data to continuously fine-tune your protocol. Optimize your overall calf program for maximum efficiency and profit.
It really feels like the science of early calf nutrition is at an exciting point for you. Moving beyond old habits, embracing research for better health and productivity in your future herd.
Absolutely. The choice for you is getting clearer. Either proactively embrace these scientifically validated protocols consistently shown to maximize heifer lifetime performance, or risk getting left behind. Other progressive producers are adopting these advantages, seeing the improvements on their bottom line.
That ball rolling down the hill analogy again.
It's so pertinent here for you. Early nutrition decisions set the trajectory for their whole productive life, and ultimately contribute to the long-term financial security, the resilience of your dairy operation. The evidence from Guelph, other top institutions, it's undeniable. Forward-thinking producers are already seeing the returns on this relatively simple investment in their future.
Okay, let's bring it all together. Make sure these key insights really stick with you. Recap those crucial takeaways one last time.
Certainly. Remember the value of transition milk for you. Even milking 2 is packed with way more IgG than regular milk, yet often discarded. Don't waste it.
Protocol options.
You have clear, research-backed options. 50% colostrum for 2-3 days, or 10% inclusion for 14 days. Both show real benefits. Pick what works best for your system.
Disease management.
Extended colostrum isn't just prevention. It's a powerful tool for actively managing disease, supporting recovery when calves do get sick.
Implementation complexity.
It doesn't require a massive overhaul or huge capital. Often just basic infrastructure, a few extra minutes daily in your feeding routine. Pays dividends.
And the big picture.
Always keep the long-term profitability in mind for you. Early investments in optimized calf nutrition deliver measurable, significant improvements in milk production over multiple lactations. Contributes directly to your farm's financial success.
And for the executive summary for you listening, the bottom line boils down to this. Traditional calf feeding practices. Probably limiting your profitability.
Likely, yes.
Embracing extended colostrum feeding using either of those research-backed protocols can significantly cut disease rates, boost ADG in those critical early weeks, and lead to a notable increase in first lactation milk. Maybe 500 to 1,000 pounds more per heifer.
That's the potential.
The extra labor, minimal, maybe 5-10 minutes daily, and the return on investment, substantial, potentially adding around $500 per heifer to your bottom line.
Exactly. By focusing on optimizing early calf nutrition, thoughtfully implementing these strategies, you're not just raising healthier young stock. You're actively unlocking significant sustainable economic potential for your dairy's entire future.
So we really encourage you, take those first actionable steps we outlined today. Order the storage supplies. Start collecting that valuable transition milk. Schedule that planning meeting with your team this week. Get the ball rolling.
Don't wait.
And finally, we'll leave you with this thought to really chew on. Consider just how fully optimizing those first few weeks of a heifer's life, maximizing the power of extended colostrum feeding, could fundamentally reshape the long-term profitability and the overall resilience of your entire dairy operation for years to come. It's so much more than just feeding calves. It's a strategic investment in your farm's future success.
That wraps up our discussion on revolutionary colostrum protocols. Remember those key takeaways. Transition milk through the fourth milking contains valuable nutrients you might be discarding. Implementing extended feeding requires minimal additional labor, but delivers substantial returns. And progressive producers are already gaining competitive advantages with these methods. We encourage you to start with just one simple change this week. Begin collecting and storing that transition milk rather than discarding it. Small steps lead to significant profits. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe to the Bullvine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and visit thebullvine.com for the full article with implementation guides and research citations. Thanks for joining us for the Bullvine Podcast, where science meets profitability. Until next time, keep innovating in those barns.